Arne Slot to Liverpool is pretty much done, dusted, and all but confirmed. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another video. It seems that Liverpool's search for a new manager has finally been resolved, with Jurgen Klopp leaving at the end of the season. The big question on everyone's lips was who would become the successor to the German for when he did leave at the end of the campaign. And it seems that we have our answer in Arne Slot, the current manager of Feyenoord. Everything seems in place. Everything has been signed and sealed. And now we're just waiting for it to be delivered between the two clubs. Everything seems to be given the go-ahead. The green light is hit. And everything seems to be signed as far as what paperwork's concerned. We're just waiting for it all to be announced. That is at least according to one Fabrizio Romano, who has been all over this story right from the get-go. Arne Slot will become the new Liverpool manager. Of course, from this Liverpool fan, not entirely enthusiastic by this. The more that I do my research on this guy, the more that I like the sound of him, but I'm not completely convinced that he's going to be the guy that's going to take us from where we are under Klopp to a whole new level. We're going to be talking about Arne Slot, we're going to be talking about Liverpool and everything else in between, but before we go any further, I would like to remind you to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and very greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comment section, let me know what you guys think, you feel, your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it. Wait for great and interesting reading here, I'm sure. So, please do feel free to use that comment section as you please. I'm sure it'll be great to hear from you all. But without further ado, let's get on with this video. Let's talk Arne Slot to Liverpool, which is, like I say, signed, sealed, and we're just waiting for it to be delivered. Fabrizio Romano tweeted today that Liverpool and Feyenoord have signed all documents for Arne Slot's imminent move to Liverpool as new head coach. Note, head coach, not manager. It will still take some time for the official club statement planned between clubs for this week. All done and sealed. So barring any sort of major U-turn and anything major happening, this seems to be done and dusted as far as what he's concerned and as far as what Liverpool and Feyenoord are concerned as well. Wow. Look, what do we know about Arne Slot? He's a guy who enjoys the kind of total football that a typical Dutch manager and obviously Dutch football heritage would provide. He's an attacking-minded, progressive coach, likes to play that brand of football and that kind of style. A little bit different to Jurgen Klopp. He's not really of the high intense counter press. He's more of an attractive, get the ball on the ground and play your way in that kind of sense. Whilst when you're out of possession, get back, defending a bit of a block. So it'll be different to see if the transition defensively or when we're out of possession is going to be smooth or not from these players in regards to what Klopp will leave in comparison to what Arne Slot will try to provide. But footballing wise, I have no seemingly issue with what he sounds like. Now, I'm not a religious fan of Eredivisie. I am, I'll occasionally watch a Feyenoord game or an Ajax game if they're in any sort of European competition. And obviously, if time allows me to. I don't really watch a lot of Feyenoord. I'm not going to lie to you. So a lot about this, as I said in my previous video that I did about Arne Slot, is based on what I've done my research in, the tiny bit that I already know and have watched. And of course, what I've since researched in terms of what I've heard, what I've read, what I've watched, all of that stuff. So when I talk about Arne Slot, I admit it's not first-hand knowledge. A lot of it is second-hand knowledge, but at the same time, it is still better. I've still formed somewhat of an opinion around it. What I've seen and what I know about him from the way that he plays in terms of that kind of total football kind of Dutch style is I like it. I obviously like the attractive style that he seemingly will try to bring to this Liverpool squad, whether he will or not remains to be seen. And I think obviously at Liverpool he will be given the freedom to obviously do that. This isn't like an Eric Ten Hag situation where we look at a guy who's got this brand of football that we like, we bring him in, and then we tell him that you can't do that here, we're going to tell you to do something different. which is seemingly what's happened at Manchester United with Erik ten Hag. So I kind of like that. He's also shown at Feyenoord the way that he can work on a budget. Brilliant. If anyone has any knowledge of Liverpool whatsoever, he'll obviously have a bit more money to spend than he would at Feyenoord. But overall, we know that the overall budget is still going to be an issue when in comparison to competing with the likes of Manchester City season in, season out. And of course, in recent years, probably Arsenal as well. So we know that he can work on a budget. We know that he's got a good sort of philosophy, shall we say, an attacking-minded, attractive philosophy, shall we say. And we know that he actually works with youngsters really well. We know that obviously at Feyenoord he's done very well and worked a lot of good stuff with the youngsters. And as far as what he is in terms of a manager with a pedigree of winning things, he's won everything there is to win. Pretty much in the Dutch league. He's won the Eredivisie with Feyenoord, considering how Ajax and PSV normally dominate that league. That is still a pretty good achievement. That obviously took place in the 2022-23 season. He is obviously a Dutch Cup winner as well in the 23-24 season. And in the 21-22 season, he was a Europa Conference League runner-up. So he does have a bit of European pedigree to his name. And of course, that was the first European Conference League competition that was obviously won by Jose Mourinho's Roma, a team that he's had a bit of a rivalry with as Feyenoord manager. It seems that Roma are not too far away from Feyenoord, and often it's Roma that knock Feyenoord out of those competitions. So he has built up a bit of a rivalry with them over the years. Look, when it comes to Liverpool, I'm not too crazy about this appointment. And I'll tell you for why. I'm not too crazy about this appointment. I like the look of this guy. I like what he offers. But I don't necessarily think he may be the caliber that Liverpool are looking for in terms of potential. Now, I've said time and time again that the follow-on from Jurgen Klopp was always going to be a decline. We weren't going to get a Guardiola. We weren't going to get a Carlo Ancelotti. So the next manager that we were going to bring in was obviously going to be someone lesser than Klopp. I 100% understand and I get that. But the idea is that we bring in someone with huge potential to reach Klopp's level or even exceed Klopp's level. So Xabi Alonso, that's why I was so high on Xabi Alonso. Maybe not at the beginning, maybe I was sucked in by De Zerbi ball and how attractive that looked, but that was more style over substance, as I came to realise a little bit later on. Amorim was after Xabi Alonso. After Xabi Alonso ruled himself out the run-in, that was when we turned our attention to Amorim. And then Liverpool decided to turn their attention elsewhere from Amorim. Again, Amorim may not have been exceeding Jurgen Klopp's level, but I did think that maybe one day he could potentially get on Jurgen Klopp's level. And I still do. I'm still not changing my opinion on that. And I've said that in the videos that I did about talking about Ruben Amorim, when of course it seemed like Liverpool were going to be primarily focused on bringing him to the club rather than turning their attention to Arne Slot. Now we turn our attention to our third choice. Seemingly our third choice, this, you can say that obviously in the ballpark of these kinds of managers, like we will have a long list of names that are similar. I don't necessarily think this was the plan. I think our all our eggs in one basket kind of thing was on Xabi Alonso. And then when that didn't happen, we turned our attention to our second and third choice. And I don't know the full ins and outs of the Amorim stuff, so I could hazard a guess that maybe Amorim turned us down, or maybe it's true in what they're saying, that we turned down Amorim, one of the two. It, like I say, it depends on which side of the fence you're looking at. It was either going to be one way or the other on that. Turning our attention to Arne Slot, I don't think this was our primary guy, but I think that this has the potential to be a decent appointment if done correctly. My personal opinion is that I'm never too high on Dutch managers, particularly in the Premier League. I like what he's done in Eredivisie. I like what he's done with Feyenoord, not just in terms of domestically, but obviously across European competitions as well. I like what he's managed to achieve there. My only issue is that Dutch managers to the Premier League, they never normally rediscover that form. They never normally duplicate that form that they showed over there, over here. So that's why you've got guys like Erik ten Hag and Louis van Gaal that have failed quite significantly. Frank de Boer is known as one of the worst Premier League managers to ever step foot in England's top flight division. I'm sure there are a couple more Dutch managers that you can maybe point at and look at and go, that guy didn't do anything in this league. That guy didn't do anything in this league. It's not. And again, maybe he breaks the mold, and maybe he's going to be an exception to that rule. But Dutch managers don't normally do well in this competition, and maybe it is something down to the football. Maybe it's something down to the huge difference between the Eredivisie and the Premier League. I'm not so sure, but either way. You know, I hope and I pray that this works. Of course I do, but I do have my reservations. For example, does he have the right mentality for a job of this caliber? Is this too big of a step up for him? We know that in the past he's turned down job offers. Most recently, last summer, he turned down Tottenham. So, again, is that an indication as maybe... There's two ways of looking at that. Is that an indication maybe of him seemingly not being ready to make that jump to the Premier League and therefore taking another year out to maybe learn his craft more and obviously and further strengthen his knowledge of the game and obviously his understanding of management and everything? That could be one way of looking at it. Or B, maybe he just didn't think Tottenham was the right move. Maybe Tottenham was seen as not the right club for him. Maybe it was just a case of he didn't think he was ready and then he missed the opportunity. And then a club like Liverpool, with the history that they have, maybe doesn't come around every so often. So maybe he just jumped at the opportunity to join Liverpool. This could be a big step for him way too early on in his managerial career, and it could come back to backfire. Same with Liverpool, though. I like the way that we're getting our business done. I like the way we went out. We got Michael Edwards in. I like the way we went out. We got Richard Hughes, and we got Richard Hughes in. I like the way that we've done our business behind the scenes to make the structure in place for when this guy comes, for when the new manager comes in. And if it is going to be Arne Slot, he's going to come in as the head coach, not a manager, which means that we get rid of what Jurgen Klopp's been trying to do, which is obviously have more power. That's one of the reasons why I think that Liverpool have not fallen off completely, but somewhat faltered in the past couple of years in terms of certain transfers and certain things of that nature. Jurgen Klopp, as he obviously got more and more comfortable at Liverpool, started to get more and more power. That is seemingly why Michael Edwards left in the first place, and that's why seemingly our transfer strategy have been a bit erratic, shall we say, over the past few years or so. Again, not necessarily bad, not necessarily good. Obviously, those things can work out, I think, but in very rare cases. In this instance, didn't quite work out to the fullest of potential. And now we've got a structure in play with a head coach coming in who isn't at Jurgen Klopp's level, isn't anything above Jurgen Klopp or on his level. He's a young manager, relatively young at 45 years of age. Built up a good pedigree, built up a good reputation in the Netherlands with Feyenoord in the Eredivisie, and is now seemingly after a new challenge. And that challenge is going to be Liverpool, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Am I too crazy about this? Am I a bit overreactionary about it? I want you guys to let me know, because I'm not 100% sold on this guy. I like the potential of what he offers, but I just don't necessarily think it's going to be the right choice and right fit for Liverpool. I think if this was like a Tottenham, for example, I would say go for it. Like, this guy seems like it could be a good choice. If this was an up-and-coming team that is on the verge of challenging, if this was like Aston Villa, for example, and this was like Unai Emery leaving tomorrow and they needed a replacement, I'd say go to Aston Villa. I'm not 100% sure this is the right guy for Liverpool. Look, I want to back the team and I want to back the club as much as I can. But sometimes you just got to be a bit more realistic. And on this case, I'm not 100% sure. I like what he offers. I like what he's done at Feyenoord. I like the potential that he could have with this squad in terms of obviously the youngsters, the academy players that we've got. We've got a good young crop coming through. We've got some good young senior players that he can obviously mould into his image even more so. The foundations, as I keep saying, are there. Just need a few tweaks here and there. A couple of players maybe can be moved on. A couple of players can be maybe brought in. An attack that needs changing, for example. Yeah, that. Maybe the Dutch connection. I always look for sort of connections on this as well. I will just say this last point as well before I go. Dutch connections. Obviously Van Dijk. Obviously Cody Gakpo. Do wonder if Cody Gakpo will be massive to his plans going forward, and whether or not that he'll be an interesting one to watch as Arne Slot progresses. But it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But according to Fabrizio Romano today, this is all but confirmed. This is signed, sealed, and yet to be delivered by the two clubs. Arne Slot does appear to be the next manager of Liverpool Football Club, succeeding Jurgen Klopp at the end of the campaign. I want to know what you guys think, because these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of this managerial appointment by Liverpool? I'm not completely sold on it. I'm open to the idea, but I'm not completely sold on it yet from his point of view, and from obviously recent history of Dutch managers. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it in regards to Arne Slot down below. And again, I don't know a great deal about him, having not been a religious follower of Feyenoord or the Eredivisie. So maybe you guys can know more than what I do about this guy and about what he's managed to achieve. Like I say, I've given you a basic outline and I know little bits and pieces. But I want to know what you guys think on this guy. Let me know down below in the comment section. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way out if you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you're new, want to see more content like this. Both things always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video. I'll see you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your night. And I'll speak to you all again very, very soon.